Angelina Jolie was worshipped around the world, but behind the fame was a darkness no one dared to see. For years, Angelina Jolie lived through pain most couldn't survive and never said a word. What Angelina Jolie endured in silence will shock you to your core. Angelina Jolie was born into fame, but abandoned before she could even speak. Her father, Jon Voight, vanished into the spotlight. Angelina Jolie was left behind, staring at doors that never opened, windows that never framed his return. She was 1 year old. The pain had already begun. Her mother, Marceline, gave up everything to raise her, but even love came wrapped in sorrow. The apartment was quiet, not with peace, but with grief no one dared name. Angelina Jolie didn't hear lullabies. She heard silence. There was a darkness in the house, she later said. Not sadness, something unspoken, and that unspoken weight sank into her bones. Angelina Jolie wasn't neglected loudly. She was forgotten quietly. That kind of pain doesn't scream. It lingers. It rewires you. As Jon Voight smiled for the cameras, Angelina Jolie sat in silence, wondering if anyone even saw her. She didn't feel safe. She didn't feel real. "I had no one to mirror myself in," she once whispered. That emptiness didn't fade, it became her. This wasn't a troubled childhood, it was a quiet tragedy, and it was only the beginning. By the time Angelina Jolie was a teenager, the damage had already taken root. She wasn't acting out, she was disappearing. In school, Angelina Jolie was thin, pale, and quiet. Braces on her teeth, black clothes, a knife in her bag. Not to threaten anyone, just to feel safe. She wasn't angry, she was empty. Angelina Jolie didn't belong in classrooms, in mirrors, or even in her own skin. "I was the kid people stared at, but never spoke to," she said. She didn't want attention, she wanted connection, but no one came. At 14, Angelina Jolie begged her mother to let her live with her boyfriend, not for freedom, but for comfort, for something that felt like love. "I didn't know what was normal," she admitted. "I just didn't want to feel empty anymore." But the emptiness grew louder. Angelina Jolie began to self-harm, not for drama, but for silence, a release. "I hurt myself just to feel something," she confessed. She wasn't trying to shock the world, she was trying to survive it. The world would one day call her wild, chaotic, too much. But back then, she was just a broken girl in a quiet apartment, trying to hold herself together. This wasn't a rebellion. This was a cry without sound, and no one heard it. Fame didn't save Angelina Jolie. It disguised the pain, but never erased it. Her rise began with roles that felt too real. These weren't performances, they were exorcisms. Angelina Jolie wasn't pretending. She was reliving every scream, every silence, pulled straight from the ghost she grew up with. When she won her Oscar in 1999, the world cheered. Cameras flashed, speeches echoed. But when Angelina Jolie got back to her hotel that night, silence. "It was just me again," she said. No applause, no warmth, just a woman alone with everything the world couldn't see. Hollywood called her intense, electric, dangerous. But that fire came from somewhere real, from a child left behind, from a teenager who bled quietly, from a woman still searching for shelter in every spotlight. Angelina Jolie didn't want fame. Fame wanted her, drawn to the rawness in her eyes, the ache in her voice, the chaos just beneath the surface. But the more she gave, the more it took, and behind every role, she lost a little more of herself. This wasn't a breakthrough, it was a warning. When Angelina Jolie met Brad Pitt in 2004, it didn't feel like a scandal. It felt like a rescue. The world saw chemistry. Headlines screamed betrayal. But behind the scenes, something softer was happening. During filming, her son Maddox looked at Brad and called him Daddy. Angelina Jolie froze. Brad did too. In that moment, everything changed. Angelina Jolie wasn't chasing love. She was finally touching something that felt safe, something that felt like home. They weren't just lovers, they became a force. 6 children, war zones, humanitarian missions, 2 broken people building something bigger than themselves. In 2013, when Angelina Jolie discovered she carried the BRCA1 gene, she chose a double mastectomy. Brad stayed by her side through every surgery, every scar. "We laughed through the darkest nights," she said. For a moment, it seemed she had found peace, but some storms whisper, and while the world called them perfect, fractures quietly formed beneath the surface. Angelina Jolie wasn't healed. She was holding herself together for everyone else. The love that once saved her was starting to drown her. September 2016, a private jet, 30,000 feet in the air, and everything Angelina Jolie had built shattered. What happened on that flight has never been fully confirmed. Legal documents, conflicting stories. But one truth remained. Something terrified her. "I did it for the safety of my family," Angelina Jolie later said, her voice calm but trembling. Within days, she filed for divorce. The world was shocked, but for Angelina Angelina Jolie, it wasn't a scandal. It was survival. What followed was brutal. An FBI investigation, leaked reports, a custody war that dragged on for nearly a decade. Angelina Jolie never lashed out publicly. She didn't give interviews. She let the silence speak for her. "Some have taken advantage of my silence," she finally said, "but my children know the truth, and maybe that's what mattered most." Because her children did speak, quietly but powerfully. Maddox distanced himself. Facts followed. Zahara dropped Pitt's name. On her 18th birthday, Shiloh did too. These weren't headlines. They were heartbreaks, not rebellion, but quiet declarations. Through it all, Angelina Jolie stood still. Not angry, not bitter, just focused on protecting what was left, not herself, family. And that silence, that restraint, it became her strongest weapon. Grief doesn't always scream. Sometimes it shows up in your blood, your bones, your reflection. After the divorce, Angelina Jolie's body began to break, slowly, quietly. High blood pressure, Bell's palsy, half her face paralyzed. "I didn't recognize myself anymore," she whispered. "I had disappeared into someone tiny, faded, aching." The public saw elegance, but behind the photos were trembling hands, sleepless nights, a woman holding herself together with tape and silence. Angelina Jolie didn't vanish with drama. She eroded, and still, she made choices no one saw coming. In 2013, she underwent a double mastectomy after discovering she carried the BRCA1 gene. 2 years later, she removed her ovaries and fallopian tubes. No press stunt, no vanity, just survival. "I want my kids to see a strong mother," Angelina Jolie wrote, "not someone afraid, but strength has a cost." She wasn't just losing parts of her body, she was letting go of the girl she used to be. The woman who once lit up screens was now fighting for more time, more presence, more peace. The world called her brave, but courage isn't loud. It's quiet, bleeding, sacred. And in those scars, hidden beneath red carpets and headlines, was the real story. Angelina Jolie could have vanished. No one would have blamed her. But instead, she rebuilt, slowly, privately, and on her own terms. She moved into a quiet estate in Los Feliz, not far from Brad Pitt's home, not out of spite, out of stillness. 6 bedrooms, 10 bathrooms, a rose garden, a soundless pool. But none of it mattered. What she was rebuilding wasn't a house, it was herself. Angelina Jolie didn't chase headlines. She chased healing. Her children became her center. Maddox studied abroad. Pax kept his distance from the noise. Zahara thrived in college. Shiloh stepped into art. Vivian joined her on Broadway. Knox stayed private, protected. Every one of them carried a piece of her strength because she gave them everything she never had. And slowly, her health returned. Meditation, clean eating, quiet walks, not to look younger, but to stay alive, to stay present. Not for the world, for them. Angelina Jolie wasn't trying to be whole. She was trying to be here. Angelina Jolie is no longer chasing cameras. She's chasing meaning. She stepped behind the screen, directing, producing, creating stories that echo her own. Not fame-driven, but soul-driven. Her upcoming Maria Callas biopic, a woman torn between genius and tragedy. The Outsiders on Broadway, rebellion, identity, survival. These aren't just projects, they're mirrors. Angelina Jolie doesn't act for applause anymore. She creates to heal. When she speaks now, it's rare, but it's real. At the 2025 Youth Summit, she didn't sound like a celebrity. She sounded like a survivor. "This industry can eat you alive," she said. "Be careful what it takes from you." That wasn't advice. That was a warning, born from everything it took from her. She doesn't post for attention. She shows up for her children. She doesn't need the spotlight. She became the light. And yes, some nights the shadows still visit. Pain never fully leaves. But Angelina Jolie doesn't run from it anymore. She carries it, gracefully, quietly, as a reminder of what she survived. Because her legacy isn't her beauty. It isn't even her fame. It's her humanity. A woman who lost almost everything, yet still chose to love harder, live deeper, and rise anyway. So the next time you see Angelina Jolie on a screen, remember, you're not just looking at a star. You're looking at a woman who turned agony into purpose, who chose love over bitterness, and who rose from silence without asking for applause. If her story moved something in you, say it. Because sometimes the bravest thing we can do is not just survive, but share.